we are only at 3.
It's not a problem because it is recorded. So I think that it will be published at some point.
Okay, then.
So maybe first of all, as we are with Luis and maybe a wider offline audience, maybe would it be possible just to specify or define what would be what you would call a ghost route?
Yes, for sure. let me start with a live example. So in day 42, I think I am sharing the screen. I set up a route that is periodically advertised or not. Frederick, you can check your router if it's withdrawn from you or not. Let me quickly paste it for your for the chat to check it yourself. But it's not just withdrawing, it's about attribute changes, basically. And the thing is that this route somehow, okay, I think we hit the other direction. Okay, then what is the time of the day? Yes, 1 minute. Okay. So previously I collected how this passes are looking like, and as you can see, a lot of AS passes are there. Whereas normally only 4 or 5 ASs could be observed. And the thing is that this prefix is periodically withdrawn. Let me show you real quick the config for it.
Yes.
So here.
Yes, please go ahead.
So here is the, here is the definition of this stuff, and the main thing here is this beacon route. It only advertises from a half an hour, and basically it's withdrawn on the other half of the hour, and that's why we are just seeing it right now with short AS passes like this and this. This is quite a good way now because it is advertised. But I also set it up on my home net, so basically we can check that one then. Okay, so in my home network, I did a bit more obviously. So I play with flow specs and multicast routes and unicast routes and VPN routes. They are advertised at different time points in it. And for example, this is the unicast route that I'm advertising. If you would like to take it on a look, then I have a public LG on this address. And here it is quite well observable. Okay, I think I should open it to a new window, maybe. This way. Okay, so if I refresh it, it periodically here and goes away simply because in an interior routing domain you can go down to seconds level simply because it's quite normal that it's faster than the internet itself. So it's BGP. I am seeking for the unicast database. My bad. So I am seeking for the unicast database. Okay, it's here again. Okay, so let's see. Now it is second 31, and let's see how it is configured. It is ghost unicasting. Okay, so see, shortly it should disappear at yes, it's gone now, 8 seconds. It's gone now, and it will be back at 10. Let's see. Okay, I think 5 more seconds, and it will advertise back. Yes, it is back. So that's it. Basically, it's a route that you advertise and withdraw periodically, and this is the originator site, and we have some observers. I put it up to the services node here. And the observers are also having this time map and could have some route maps and route policies to specify the properties, simply because at the start, when I noticed that in DR42 they are doing some ghost routes, then I came up with this idea. But the second part will be when I will not withdraw, but will rotate on the attributes. For example, we can use a trick. Let's say that the metric or the community is set based on the time of the day, and then basically just the attributes will change and and just withdraw the prefix. Let's say for 1 hour a day and so on, and then it will be a different experiment with this basically routing beacon. And the thing is that so the originator node have this mode originator, and it will then generate the prefix, and then you can put it to your BGP. I mean, it's a redistribution, obviously. Okay, so I think I have this ghost VRF definition, and I redistribute this ghost process here, and to the global I redistribute all the other ghost processes that generate in routes and periodically withdraws it and so on and advertises. On the on the observer side, I redistribute the BGP back to these ghost processes, and then it just checks for the existence of the prefix, and it can ignore some attributes that basically changes why it traverses the given architecture. In an IGP case, I obviously discard these attributes. For an IBGP scenario, you obviously need different attributes that you will discard and check for the rest. And then finally, the result that we are looking for. First of all, it has some status, and it will give you that how many times it noticed the ghosting route and so on. And if it and if something happens to the attributes, then it will also not it also will record the last event. I think yes, and we have the last ghost thing. For example, in this case, it was just a bit over. If you remember the originating node, let's see again. So for unicast, it should end up at 40, but seemingly it took them a bit more time to get withdraw the prefix, and that's why it became a ghost. I really would not call it a real ghost, and maybe I have to fine tune this observer a bit. Yes, because it allows it exactly 400 milliseconds. Maybe it took a bit more. I have two root reflectors, and one of them is external, so anything can happen here. Maybe I have to relax these timers a bit.
Sorry, this is 4,000 milliseconds or
yes,
400 milliseconds.
Yes, 4,000 milliseconds. So basically, okay. 4 seconds. 4 seconds. That is sure. On load, and it took exactly 4 seconds, maybe a bit more, and that's why it gets recorded as a ghost route. Maybe I have to fine tune it a bit, and that's it. So that's one of the interesting things that we can do for routing stability. And basically, this implementation as uses a time map, and you can configure anything and any prefix, and you can set route policies and route maps and check for different processes and so on. So it's quite configurable. You can on the ClearNet you can use the RIPE anchors. You know, there are some big internet exchanges where RIPE represents itself, and he also do some prefix research. They advertise some set of prefixes that are withdrawn at every 4 hours and advertised in other 2-4 hours interval. So you can configure it and check against the RARE prefixes. But the thing is that with that is that so if you decide not to advertise your own beacons, then first of all it's quite slower, and second it could be anywhere in the path in between. So these prefixes are so the farther you are from the RARE origins, the more chance that it's not your network but someone else. So that's why it's more useful to use your own beacon prefixes.
That is great. Also, let me try to do a little bit recap, Xaba. Is that okay?
Yes. Okay.
Just for one reason, because meanwhile we have Simon who joined us while you were already started this explanation. So Simon, if welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
So the idea of this session is that Xaba recently played with what he is calling a ghost route. So
Ghost hunters. Yes.
Ghost routes, but ghost hunter. And the idea of this is that he observed in an overlay parallel network in which we are both in terms of BGP peers. He just noticed that you have routes that are advertised and then withdrawn in a specific amount of time.
Yeah.
Then he created something, a process
wait
like
a bit, and some routes are simply get stuck at some given implementations. That's what this
also
this
yes,
thing is
sorry.
about.
Yeah. In some implementation, I won't say any other router, but you might guess the other router that could be stuck, would advertise prefix that are stuck, that are in a stuck state. But in this idea, he implemented something called Ghost Hunt. Is that it, Xaba? Ghost Hunt.
Yes,
Ghost Hunt. So it's a router. It's not a router BGP, but it's router Ghost Hunt for.
Router Ghost Hunt, a time map, some parameters for basically a lot more you can configure here, and finally. The final goal is that you redistribute these ghost hunt stuff to your BGP, even in VRFs like here.
Exactly.
And then,
so
they are the originators, and if you copy paste the same to the observers without this originating thing, then they will conclude the same result and they will expect the same prefix. And if not, then they will hit you an alarm. For example, here, or this green, or maybe they could go red when things stop working. I simply get a notification that, okay, things went wrong with the BGP somewhere. And basically that's the outcome. If you check periodically the same show output, then sometimes the prefix is there, sometimes it's not. And the other use case, simply because you can mention here route maps, and so for example here you can mention route maps or route policies, and within these you can set things like maybe I was already somewhere. You can do things like TCLing, and then I think it's extra, and I think it is it is set, let's say, logpref extra seconds per, let's say, 10, and then a pass, and let's see if it do anything. Show BGP unicast date. It's not, it's route policy. Let's see if it do anything. Okay. Maybe I did some mistake here, but the
Did you
idea
apply
here,
it? Because you,
I
the first
just
time you
wanted,
tried to apply it, it wasn't defining.
I just wanted to filter it with this.
Okay,
But
sure.
seemingly it is, I know the mistake, it's not set because they are not variables, but I know. I think it is this way. Okay, much better. Okay, and then router ghost hunt 4, I think 1, and the root policy now, let's mention it. Okay, and we have to wait a bit. Okay, and we got, where is the log graph? Okay, and hopefully it changes in every 10 seconds. I think it will withdraw at 40, but until that it will play with the attribute. Yes, as you see, it slowly increases in every 10 seconds, and at 40, I mean, when this reaches 40, it will be completely withdrawn. And until this point, show happy for Ghost Hunt 1. I can check when it is advertised, but it is withdrawn now. That if I configure the same route map for the observer nodes, then it can validate and alarm you that. So, for example, it can validate and alarm you if the log graph changes. I think right now I am especially ignoring the log graph here, but maybe then let's play with the metric then. And then it will spot it. Okay, then it is metric. Let's check the root policy. Much better. Okay. Okay, and we started to getting some attribute errors, but I think it's already withdrawn again. Yes, we have 30 seconds to observe the missing attributes. We have to wait a bit until this starts increasing again, because currently the prefix is withdrawn. Okay, it's back again. And it will highlight us that, okay, it was the metric that's why it became an attribute error here. But let me reconfigure the observer also. Not. I think it is as easy as copy pasting back the rest. Okay, it is copied, and let's see. We have to wait again until until the prefix appears. Okay, it will originate in 5 seconds. Okay, we are here. And the last attribute error was half a minute ago, so currently the attributum seems to be okay.
Nope.
We had another attribute error somewhere. Yes, one increase here, maybe a bit lag in the distribution. I mean, maybe seconds per turn is not the best way to to play with this attribute stuff, but. Okay, so seemingly we had a much more increase in the attribute log than compared to the attribute error. So one can say that okay, it is quite well. But here I'm playing with very aggressive timers. So doing this doing this ghost hunting with seconds level is nah, I cannot type. So I am really playing at seconds level, which is a bit too aggressive for for it seemingly. Okay, maybe we can do this. Okay, it will only display anything when an attribute error happens. And while here, yes, we don't have metric when it is empty. Okay, it is here, and we have the metric, and it does not display anything because it only displays when an attribute error happened. I think it will display something when this increases, but only for a while, for 1 second or so until the BGP converges. But let's see. Okay, it survived this anniversary, and I think at 14 it will be withdrawn or so. Okay, until the S is gone now. So basically that's it. Just a small prefix beacon, and the checker part is also there, so one can really set up and play and test actively the running BGP implementations. The motivation was basically that recently that look at these AS passes. I run it on DM42. It's a mess of bird and FRRs, and these AS passes are quite a stock ones. So that's they are too longer to be valid. The same prefix usually gets 5 ASs wrong or so. When I announce it, so when I announce it, then they are quite small compared to the observed ones. So now we are in the middle of setting up and spotting that which implementation and exactly where and how fails.
Nice.
Okay, so that's the Ghost Hunter. That's the new stuff. Maybe we have some time left. Okay, then let me show you really quick the other stuff. So I have two BGP neighbors here. And the other trick is the comparing of the feeds. I think I already showed you, Simon, this.
Yeah.
Okay, so it outputs you two things. That are unique to one and unique to the other, and the attribute differs. And when you got this, then you can check that, okay, exactly which attributes differed here.
Yep.
Okay, so the source is obviously different, but it's an internal attribute. The update and the version are obviously again. Okay, we have the ident, which is which is a bit tricky because it's another internal attribute for the multipass to track the multipass passes. I mean the additional pass passes. the log pref is intentionally set to prefer the internal error compared to the external error from my point of view. So it is the one that I need to discard if I want a good output. And obviously the cluster is because the root refactors have different root IDs. Okay, so we spot the cluster list, and I think the other is the log pref. And then you got an empty list. And every time if it shows you anything else, then then your BGP, one of your BGP implementations failed. And it is another thing that you have to alarm to, simply because in the wide, especially with iOS XE, we saw a lot of a lot of issues, stuck prefixes, eaten attributes, and so on. And let me show you this.
You're using iOS XE on which platform? ASR 920 or?
It's a virtual one, so it's a CRS 1K. But I think it's the same implementation. But but it was back before the times we moved to FreeRtrs.
Yeah.
Okay, so here I basically just mentioned the same commands, the same comparing commands. I given it a description and some error text and the required text, and basically these checks do nothing but okay, it takes one second for it to execute, simply because this decompare does a second round, and all the outputs, the prefixes that are constantly mismatching or advertised by one or the other. But thing is that these checks are executed here by these trackers. What? Okay, so they are executed here by these trackers at every 5 seconds, and they also have some outputs. So as you can see, maybe here it asked already 3,000 times, and this router is just started up this morning, we can say. And then we have the show tracker output where you can spot that how many times things change to these different events. So, for example, the multicast consistency went wrong 10 times, but my bad. But at this point, when you spot something very big or increasing, then you can always check exactly the check and see that okay, I think it is the show tracker, my bad. And this is a bigger number. My bad. So then always take a look that okay, it was done 20 times. So basically this 22 changes are not consequent, and not one after one, but they were distributed until this check is running. So it means that okay, maybe my VPN v4 or v6 table is moving quite fast, and it's normal because they are containing the DM42, which is a live network. So so I think at the moment these are the tricks that we can do for the BGP has, or maybe not just for BGP, because I guess the thing is that I think it is the time when the prefix is withdrawn, and maybe we can show how and how it fares in DM42. Okay, so it's withdrawn at 45. Okay, one more second. Okay, maybe it's withdrawn, but let's see. Okay, it's still there. My bad. Okay, it's not there. Okay, the prefix is withdrawn, which is quite good. Okay, it tells me that it's still there, but let's give it some time until it converges. Okay, something happened. We seemingly now this AS, and behind that will all this stack. Okay, let's verify if this guy have the prefix. Okay, no such prefix. The thing is that some of them have looking glasses. Fortunately, this guy have. Let's verify if I really withdrawn the prefix. Okay. Let's look up the peering address. Not found. Okay, so this guy now hears over a different peer of me, but let's check this also. Withdrawn. Let's see if they have looking glass. They don't, unfortunately. We cannot check it further. Only back to the collector. Let's see if something changed. Okay, so it converged to this guy seemingly. What if I completely clear down the session? It even does not restore. Interesting. Okay, it's up. For 2 seconds, somewhere it came up. Okay, I still didn't advertise to that guy the prefix, which is very good. And they still think that they are advertised, but in the meantime, I completely teared down this BGP session to this guy. Maybe we should redo the experiment. It is that peering.
Yep.
Yes, it's gone. And that's here again. So I just cleared down the session and they still think that I am advertising them. So that's why that was the main motivation that when I noticed it, I started to play with this ghosting routes simply because these open source implementations sooner or later will hit the internet exchanges, which sounds a bit catastrophic here. And it's still there.
It is intriguing, indeed.
Yes, it is. And when they sort this out, okay, so these ghosting routes basically quite an issue because when the BGP converges, then when a better prefix arrives, then obviously it will advertise toward all these peers that are the prefix are allowed to go out, and they will simply send out an update. But the other part of the convergence is withdrawing a prefix. So we will see. The next thing that I am planning to play with is the communities that I showed you in the beginning with the metrics and the log graphs. That instead I will go and randomize. I mean increase or decrease the community, pick up some and play with that, even with the large communities and the rest of the attributes. Seemingly this guy's BGP is a bit off now. Yes, it's a typical ghost route, so that's what we are hunting for.
I have two comments.
Yes.
The first comment is
basically just came up, so it's no sense that it's still there, especially for this long.
Yeah. First comment. Maybe you already submit a bug report or issue report to the bird community.
So the thing is that we went this road a year ago, but and the guys corrected a lot of core dumps and show outputs, but unfortunately nothing happened. Now I will try to coordinate it again and try it again because the things seemingly got worse in the last year. At that time, we only played with one ghost route per month. Nowadays, there is no such week that we don't pick one. And the thing is that I introduced this beaconing last night, and in this network, I advertise and withdraw in a very, very limited piece, so in every 30 minutes. And there was no such a single withdrawn period that one of my peers didn't stack completely. And it basically changed nothing if I even hard cleared the peering, so close the TCP and reopen the BGP and so on.
Well, this is not reassuring. We have to do some homework because we are handling a small internet exchange point in France, and obviously we have bird root server. So we have to investigate that. Second comment is related to your compare feed between two peers. That was
Yes.
really interesting. I was just wondering if we could have a white list of properties. Like I want to compare all the feeds between two peers, but based only on these feeds, on specific feeds. So so that we can have something really tailored. Because if I understand correctly, when you did the compare, you add you know, the cluster ID who has changed and another. Because
two things that you can do.
Yep.
First of all, let me question mark it real quick.
Yep.
Let's say A and B. Okay, so you can ignore a lot of attributes, and you can exclude the specific route map, for example. And if that route map denies an entry, then that network will not be considered in the comparison. It is here simply because I know that there are some specific prefixes that by intention only came from one peering and not from the other. You know, the traffic engineering between the ASs is one of the way of advertising a /60 on the one link and the parts of the /60, let's say the two /70s on the other link. And so for this to ignore the /70s and only concentrate on the /60, you can exclude some prefixes on your field.
Mm-hmm. Well, for example, you have in VC-minar the concept of object. And I was just wondering, for example, if you could create an object of list of label to ignore for the comparison.
In a route map, you can mention basically anything. Yes, I think it's more natural for BGP to use prefix lists here.
You mean okay? You mean that we can also put the next stop, the metrical stuff? Okay, cool. That's yeah. So this is natural then, obviously.
Let's see what BGP are here. Not this one, maybe this one. Yes, this is only one. I cannot find the BGP process. I know that I can show you some trick right here, but I don't know which BGP process is that. Okay, I know this by heart. So they are the two giant MD-VPN peerings, and the thing is that these BGP processes so these BGP processes came here from BMP. So if you take a look on here, they are just very tricky labels. So this guy is the peering router here, and this is the giant remote end of that peering, and and this is just the check part, okay? And then they are configured here under the BMP server in VC-minar. So again, this is the peering router. This is the remote end for this peering router, and all the received updates are replayed for a local process. And I know it's quite hard to understand, but but imagine it as a real real-time mirroring of a BGP session to from a production network to somewhere to a playground where I am actually. So that's how we arrive to this BGP process. That's the thing here. Show MP for BGP, this guy summary. So we are here and we have some learned prefixes. And let's see, let's do the comparison in the VPN family, for example. Let's see if we got anything. Okay, so we expect that it's an, it works quite well. Okay, I hope that we get something that we can exclude. Last time I executed such a checks, then I got some differences, and finally, seemingly the UUNet guys sorted out that single prefix that was differently advertised between the two root refactors. Maybe let's see the other summaries.
This is very, very interesting use case, as this is something I'm doing almost every day by hand. I really consider to to deploy one and start to do things automatically.
Well, so comparing the two root refactors is, I think it's always a good idea, and having two symmetrical feeds at two different points in the network is also a good idea. And as you can see, you can compare even from BMP feeds. So it's just why not if you can do. And I already showed in the beginning that you can set then MRTG or Prometheus or basically any output periodically from this comparison. So I think we also compare here a lot. It's not this guy. I guess here we do the visibility checking if the prefixes of us is existed or subpart is advertised from somewhere else to the GL network. I think the consistency checks are here. So we have a lot of checks. That's why it takes a lot.
So you must be busy with Isinga receiving all of these alarms.
Not exactly. It takes some milliseconds per. It took a lot of time because for this show output it had to execute for this column.
Oh, I mean not you,
usually,
but the one who is processing the alarm on the other end of the application.
I don't think that. So for me to generate the response take some milliseconds. I don't think that they spent more time. Okay, we have something with 100, maybe 200 milliseconds to generate the response, but it's quite a big check, I think. So the consistency of our VPN v6 is a bit mess because these address families are a bit big. And so here we are comparing a lot of prefixes. So that's why it took 200 milliseconds. But basically we can say that we processed so it's 200 milliseconds and 25,000 prefixes. I think we can process for 5 times more prefix within a second, which is 100,000 prefixes. But why not? I think this guy don't have. We can try to do some crazy stuff. Okay, and I think we have to ignore the cluster list.
So Everson and Edgar, who recently joined us.
Okay. Seemingly we again spotted something because this command executed in 5 seconds, and this continuous prefixes. Let's pick one and let's see what differs here.
I guess.
Okay, let's see.
Everson and Edgar.
Okay, we
forgot
ignored
about
the cluster
data
list.
saving time.
The fun part is that we already ignored the cluster list and I didn't spot anything, so seemingly it recovered why we queried it. Okay, so the thing is that you can easily compare two full feed root effectors also periodically. Okay, it takes 5 seconds for it to process, but then you will get the list of changes. And there is another trick, this decompare, then we'll execute it twice, and we'll display you only the prefixes that are differed two times in row, which is basically the real stack prefixes in this scenario. Normally you get an empty list with this command, or not. Okay, some trick here with this prefix, seemingly. Okay, so first thing to show that they are intentionally advertised differently to the two root effectors. Maybe it's a misconfiguration on the prefix, because normally you don't do such a thing, especially not for a /24. Wait a bit, different originators. Okay, then they are two. Then I think we spotted right now a prefix collision. or maybe an unicast prefix. I don't know. I have to check it by hand. or simply a prefix moved and one of the root effectors of us went crazy. I don't know. But seemingly the time is the same, so I really have to check this prefix. Okay, I think that's all from my part.
So Everson and Edgar, you missed the session, almost the whole session, but it's not a big deal. We were talking about ghost routes and how Xaba created a ghost hunt process where to check and nail ghost routes or route oscillation into a specific domain. Second thing he also showed is the compare feature where you could compare the BGP feeds based on some criteria that can be ignored. And that's pretty much about it. So I invite you to, if you are interested, to look at the video when it will be available from Luis. So I guess thank you, Xaba, again. Any question?
You are welcome.
No? That's great. So in that case, what I propose is to close the VC for this week, and I think that we can discuss next week then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.